Blood stains the grass as Detective Amara Cole stands over a fallen officer, her fists clenched, cameras rolling. This viral moment sparks a war against corruption. Like and subscribe to uncover the truth behind her fight. Don't miss our latest videos. Blood sprayed across the park's trampled grass, a crimson arc catching the dying sunlight as Lieutenant Rick Dalton's head snapped back, his baton clattering to the ground. Detective Amara Cole stood over him, her fists still clenched, her breath a ragged snarl, the crowd's roars swallowing the crack of her knuckles against his jaw. She hadn't planned to be here, hadn't planned to throw the punch that would ignite a city. But the sight of Rick's baton crashing into a teenage protester's skull had snapped something primal in her. The boy, a wiry kid with a Justice Now sign, lay crumpled, blood pooling beneath him. And Rick, his face a mask of smug authority, had raised his weapon for another blow. Amara, stripped of her badge and banned from duty, had been watching from the rally's edge, a civilian in a hoodie, her special forces instincts screaming. She'd shoved through the crowd, ignoring the shouts, the phones thrust skyward, the news cameras pivoting like vultures. "Drop it," Rick Sheed bellowed, but his sneer told her he wouldn't. Her fist moved before her mind could catch up, a single strike that sent him sprawling, his blood staining the earth. The crowd exploded cheers, screams, chaos as hundreds of live streams captured the moment. A black female detective felling a white lieutenant in a city ready to burn. Amara's heart thundered, her eyes locked on Rick as he staggered to his knees, his gaze promising murder. "You're dead, Cole," he spat, blood dribbling down his chin, but she didn't flinch. "Not before you," she hissed, low enough for only him to hear. Officers surged forward, their hands rough as they yanked her back, but their hesitation betrayed their shock. She was one of them, or had been, until she'd started asking why cases involving black victims kept vanishing. The boy was whisked away by medics, his eyes meeting Amara's in a fleeting, grateful glance. She barely registered it, her focus on the black van idling at the park's edge, its driver watching, a glint of metal at his chest, a fake badge, just like the ones she'd been chasing. The realization hit like a bullet. This wasn't just Rick's cruelty, it was a system, a network she'd only begun to unravel. Her phone buzzed with notifications as the video went viral. Hashtags like #RebelCop and #police brutality flooding the internet. By the time she was dragged to the precinct, the city was fracturing, half calling her a hero, half demanding her head. Captain Heller, his face carved from granite, waited in his office. A disciplinary notice already on his desk. "You assaulted a senior officer, Cole, on live TV. You're lucky it's just suspension." Amara leaned forward, her voice a blade. "Lucky that kid was lucky I stopped Rick from caving his skull in. You know what he's hiding. Heller, I've seen the reports, fake badges, beatings, cover-ups." Heller's eyes flickered, a crack in his armor, but he shoved the notice toward her. "Indefinite suspension. Get out." She didn't argue, her mind already elsewhere on the van, the fake badges, the files she'd copied before her access was cut. Back at her apartment, the city's skyline a jagged silhouette beyond her window. She pored over her notes, the air thick with the weight of her decision. She'd been investigating a shadow unit within the precinct. Officers using counterfeit credentials to terrorize minority neighborhoods. Their actions buried under Rick's signature. The van was a lead, its license plate burned into her memory. She emailed a blurry still from the viral video to Ghost, her hacker contact, with a single line, "Trace this." Now, her phone lit up with a call from an unknown number, a distorted voice hissing, "Back off, Cole, or you'll bleed like Dalton." She hung up, her pulse steady, but the threat lingered like smoke. The news looped the footage, her punch, Rick's fall, the crowd's frenzy, branding her the anarchist cop. She ignored it. Focusing on Ghost's reply, the van was registered to a front company, linked to a retired cop in Rick's orbit. Her blood ran cold. This was bigger than one man, bigger than one precinct. A knock at her door made her grab her pistol. Her body coiled. Through the peephole, she saw Marcus Reed, a journalist whose exposés had rattled City Hall. "I know you're in there. Cole," he called. "The city's watching you. Let me tell your story." She opened the door a crack, gun still in hand. "You want a story? Help me burn their house down." Marcus's eyes gleamed, sensing a scoop. She shared just enough: the van, the fake badges, Rick's name on buried complaints. As he left, her laptop pinged with an encrypted file from Ghost, a grainy photo of Rick meeting the van's driver, both wearing fake badges. Amara's fist clenched, the spark of defiance now ablaze. Outside, the city roared at protests, sirens, rage. She slipped her pistol into her waistband, her suspension a technicality. The war had begun, and she was all in. Amara Cole's apartment was a war room, its walls plastered with notes, photos, and a grainy still of the black van from the park, its license plate a taunting puzzle. The city's pulse throbbed outside, protests swelling in the wake of her viral clash with Lieutenant Rick Dalton. The video now a global firestorm with millions of views. She sat cross-legged on the floor, her laptop glowing. Ghost's encrypted file opened: Rick meeting a man with a fake badge, their faces sharp in the dim light. Her suspension had severed her access to police databases, but her special forces training had taught her to hunt without a leash. She traced the van's registration through Ghost, her hacker ally, who dug up a shell company linked to a retired cop named Victor Klein, a name she'd seen on Rick's old case files. Her gut churned: this wasn't a rogue operation. It was a machine, oiled by power and silence. Her phone buzzed with another anonymous text. "You're digging your grave. Cole." She deleted it, her fingers trembling, not from fear but rage. The threat a reminder of Rick's reach. The city was a tinderbox, and she was the match. But Rick was playing a longer game. She needed allies. Fast. At a greasy diner across town, she met Officer Lena Tran, a rookie who'd slipped her a note after the precinct showdown. "I'm with you." Lena slid into the booth, her eyes darting to the door, a USB drive pressed into Amara's palm. "Incident logs," Lena whispered, her voice barely audible over the diner's hum. "Scrubbed reports of attacks on Black and Latino kids. No badge numbers, no accountability. Rick's name is on the cover-ups." Amara's grip tightened on the drive, her mind racing. "Who else knows?" she asked. Lena's face paled. "No one I trust. They're watching me. Amara, be careful." The warning hung heavy as Amara left, the USB a lifeline and a noose, back at her apartment. She plugged in the drive, her screen filling with redacted files: assaults, hospitalizations, victims silenced by fear or payoffs. One log mentioned a warehouse in the industrial district, a hub for the fake badge unit. She memorized the address, her pulse spiking, but a news alert stopped her cold. Detective Amara Cole accused of evidence tampering. The article claimed she'd fabricated evidence in a drug bust years ago, a lie so precise it could only have come from Rick. Her phone rang. Jamal Carter, her old partner, his voice tight. "IA's tearing through your cases. Amara, Heller's orders. You're done." She hung up, her breath sharp, the trap snapping shut. Rick wasn't just discrediting her, he was erasing her. She needed to move before internal affairs pinned her down. Marcus Reed, the journalist, was her next stop. His cramped office a clutter of cameras and coffee cups. "You're a walking headline." "Cole," he said, his eyes gleaming, "give me something to work with." She hesitated, then handed him a printout of the van photo and Lena's logs, keeping the USB close. "This is bigger than me. Marcus, get it out there." He nodded, already typing, but warned, "You're poking a bear. Watch your back." That night, Amara headed to the warehouse, her car parked a block away. Her hoodie pulled low. The building loomed like a predator, its windows dark but alive with shadows. She slipped through a rusted gate, her boots silent, and peered into a cracked window. Four men, armed, their fake badges glinting, sorted crates, drugs, cash, weapons. Her phone camera clicked, capturing the sergeant from Ghost Photo, his face a grim confirmation of Rick's ties. But a misstep snapped a twig, and a flashlight beam sliced the dark. Freeze, a voice barked. Amara bolted, her lungs burning as bullets tore through the night, one grazing her arm, blood soaking her sleeve. She fired back, her shots wild but enough to scatter her pursuers, their shouts fading as she reached her car. Sirens wailed. Not for rescue, but betrayal. Rick's men had called it in. She floored the gates, the city blurring, her arm throbbing. At a safe house Ghost had secured, she uploaded the footage, encrypting it with a message: "If I die, this goes viral." Her phone lit up. Marcus, frantic. "They're saying you shot a cop." "Amara, it's everywhere," she cursed. "The warehouse is set up. The cop likely one of Rick's goons." The news looped her face, branding her a fugitive. She bandaged her arm, her eyes on the USB, the footage, the van photo. Rick's shadow was suffocating, but surrender wasn't her language. The city was watching, and she'd make them see the truth, even if it killed her. Amara Cole's world was shrinking, the city's concrete jungle closing in as she slipped out through a protest-choked alley. Her arm still stinging from the warehouse bullet Ollie Gray's. The news had branded her a cop killer, the warehouse setup twisting her into a villain on every screen. Rick Dalton's fingerprints were all over it, his influence a noose tightening around her neck. Her apartment was compromised, her face plastered on wanted posters, so she'd holed up in a dingy motel, its flickering neon a grim mirror of her fading options. Lena Tran's USB drive was her only weapon, its data a damning catalog of Rick's fake badge unit assaults, cover-ups, victims silenced by fear. But evidence was worthless without allies, and trust was a luxury she could barely afford. She met Marcus Reed in a packed deli, its noise a shield against eavesdroppers, his laptop open to a draft article exposing the warehouse. "We need a witness." "Amara," Marcus said, his voice urgent, eyes scanning the crowd. "Someone inside who will corroborate this." She nodded, thinking of Lena, the rookie who'd risked her badge for the truth. "I've got someone," she said. But doubt gnawed at her. Lena was young, scared, and the precinct was a viper's nest. She arranged to meet Lena at a deserted pier, far from police eyes. Lena arrived clutching a folder, her face ashen. "They're on to me." "Amara," she whispered, handing over photos of Rick with the warehouse sergeant, their fake badges glinting. "Heller's got IA tailing me. I'm done if they catch me." Amara's pulse raced. The photos were dynamite. But Lena's fear was a warning. "You're in deep." "Lena, you sure about this?" Lena's eyes flashed. "I'm sure I'm not like them." Amara pocketed the photos, but a text from Ghost, her hacker, cut the moment short. "IA's got a warrant. They're coming for you." Her stomach dropped. Internal Affairs wasn't just investigating. They were hunting her like prey. She told Lena to disappear, then headed to the precinct not to surrender, but to test the waters, to see who'd stand with her against Rick's empire. The station was a powder keg. Officers whispering as she strode in. Her suspension a technicality she ignored. Captain Heller blocked her path, his face a storm of fury. "You're a walking disaster." "Cole, hand over your weapon and get out." Amara stood her ground, her voice ice. "Tell me why Rick's burying cases." "Heller, I've got proof he's running a shadow unit." The bullpen froze. Officers exchanging glances, some hostile, others curious. Detective Jamal Carter, her old partner, stepped up, his voice low but firm. "She's not lying. Cap, I've seen the files. Something's wrong." Amara's chest tightened. Jamal was risking everything. But Sergeant Malone, Rick's loyal dog, laughed from the sidelines. "You're a traitor, Cole, and Carter's just your fool." The room erupted, officers shouting, loyalties splitting like a fault line. Amara seized the chaos, slipping into the evidence room, using Ghost's code to hack a terminal. She downloaded more files, bank transfers linking Rick to the shell company behind the van. But the door slammed open, and Malone stood there, his gun aimed at her chest, his sneer venomous. "You're done, Cole. Rick's got you." She raised her hands, her pistol out of reach, her mind racing. Malone stepped closer, his breath hot. "You'll take the fall for the warehouse. Dead cop, your bullet." Amara's eyes flicked to the terminal, the download complete. She lunged, not for the gun, but the drive, ripping it free as she dodged Malone's swing. Her elbow cracked his nose, blood spraying, and she bolted, his curses echoing. Alarms blared. IA was in the building. She sprinted through the precinct, blending into a protest outside, her breath ragged. Marcus was waiting at a dive bar, their backup spot. She tossed him the drive, her voice sharp. "Get this out now." Marcus nodded, but his eyes widened, spotting a shadow behind her. "Amara, move!" She spun, but a masked figure swung a pipe, pain exploding in her skull. She crumpled, the world fading. Marcus's shout distant. When she woke, she was in a dumpster-filled alley, her head pounding, the drive gone. Marcus lay nearby, bloodied but breathing. Amara staggered up, rage drowning the pain. Someone had sold her out, Lena. Jamal, or someone closer. She helped Marcus to his feet, her resolve iron. Rick's game was ruthless, but she was still in the fight, and she'd make him bleed for it. Amara Cole's vision swam, the alley's stench of rot and rust clawing at her senses as she pulled Marcus Reed to his feet, his blood-streaked face a grim reminder of their betrayal. The stolen drive was gone, her skull throbbed from the pipe's impact, and the city's chaos sirens, shouts, shattering glass felt like a noose tightening. Someone had sold her out, but the list of suspects, Lena, Jamal, even Marcus, only fueled her rage. She shoved the doubt aside. Rick Dalton's machine thrived on division, and she wouldn't let it break her. Marcus gripped her arm, his voice hoarse. "They knew our meet. Amara, someone's close." She nodded, her jaw clenched, leading him to a dive bar's back room, its flickering bulb casting jagged shadows. Her arm, grazed from the warehouse, burned, but pain was an old friend. She used the bar's burner phone to ping Ghost, her hacker lifeline. "The footage tell me it's safe," she said, her voice low. Ghost's reply was clipped, his paranoia palpable. "It's locked down, Cole, but you're a ghost now. IA's got your name on a kill list." She hung up, her mind racing. The photos Lena gave her mentioned a storage unit in the industrial district, a stash for the fake badge unit's gear. If she could hit it, she might find enough to force the FBI's hand, to turn Rick's trap into her weapon. Marcus, wiping blood from his brow, insisted on joining. "I'm not sitting this out," he said, his camera slung over his shoulder. Amara didn't argue. His lens was her megaphone. They moved at midnight, the city a labyrinth of protest barricades and police lights. The storage unit was a rusted scar on the skyline, its lone camera dangling uselessly. Amara sliced the lock with bolt cutters, her movement surgical, her special forces instincts razor sharp. Inside, the unit was a vault of corruption crates of fake badges, burner phones, ledgers detailing payoffs to precinct brass. Her phone camera flashed, capturing names Rick, Malone, even Captain Heller. Her old mentor, his betrayal a knife in her gut. Marcus whispered, "This is it, Amara. This buries them." But a low hum outside a car engine froze her. Marcus peered through the door, his face draining. Two guys, armed. Fake badges. Amara's mind clicked into overdrive. She grabbed a ledger, dousing the unit with kerosene from a nearby drum. If she couldn't take it all, she'd leave nothing for Rick's dogs. She struck a match, flames roaring as they slipped out the back, the unit erupting into an inferno. The men shouted, their silhouettes swallowed by smoke. But bullets followed, one grazing Amara's thigh as she and Marcus dove behind a stack of crates. Her pistol barked, dropping one pursuer, the other retreating as the fire's heat licked the air. They sprinted to Marcus's car, tires screeching, the ledger heavy in her bag. At a safe house, a derelict apartment, Ghost had secured and Amara poured over the ledger. Its pages a roadmap of Rick's empire payments from a group called The Order, a shadow network tying the precinct to City Hall. Heller's name, scrawled next to a six-figure sum, made her stomach churn. She called Lena, her voice sharp. Heller's dirty. Did you know Lena's pause was too long, her denial shaky? I didn't. Amara, they're tailing me. I can't talk. Amara slammed the phone down, doubt festering. Was Lena compromised? She turned to Marcus, who was uploading the ledger's photos to an encrypted server. This hits the web at dawn, he said, his fingers flying. The city's gonna explode. By morning, Marcus's article detonated online. The ledger's revelations fueling protests that choked downtown. News channels buzzed with FBI probe launched into police corruption. The city's pulse racing. Amara watched from a corner store, her face hidden under a cap. The ledger, her only shield. But Ghost's next text shattered her calm. Malone's crew found the safe house. Move! She grabbed her bag, slipping out as a black SUV roared up, Malone's face visible through the tinted glass. She ducked into a subway tunnel, her thigh wound slowing her, the ledger a burning weight. Marcus's article had cracked Rick's armor, but the hunt was on, and she was the prey. She needed a new play, something bold, something reckless, before Rick's machine crushed her for good. Amara Cole's boots crunched on broken glass, the alley's shadows swallowing her as she steadied Marcus Reed, his bloodied face a stark warning of betrayal. The pipe that cracked her skull still echoed in her throbbing head, the stolen drive now in enemy hands, and the city's chaos sirens. Chance. Shattering storefronts pressed against her like a vice. Someone had ratted her out. But the suspects, Lena Tran, Jamal Carter, or even Marcus, were amazed she couldn't navigate yet. Rick Dalton's machine fed on distrust, and she refused to let it consume her. Marcus clutched his temple, his voice ragged. They knew our spot. Amara, someone's in your circle. She nodded, her jaw tight, guiding him to a dive bar's back room, its flickering bulb casting a grim glow. Her arm, grazed from the warehouse bullet, burned. But pain was just fuel. She used a burner phone to contact Ghost, her hacker ally, her voice a low growl. The footage tell me it's still there. Ghost's reply was tense, his keyboard clacking. It's safe, Cole, but you're a dead woman walking. IA's got your face on every cop's screen. She slammed the receiver down, her mind churning. Lena's photos had pointed to a storage unit in the industrial district, a stash for the fake badge unit's tools. If she could raid it, she might unearth enough to force the FBI's hand, to turn Rick's trap into her counterstrike. Marcus, wiping blood from his brow, slung his camera over his shoulder. I'm with you, he said, his eyes fierce. Amara didn't argue. His footage could amplify her fight. They moved at midnight, the city a war zone of protest barricades and flashing police lights. The storage unit squatted in a desolate lot, its security camera a broken husk. Amara's bolt cutters snapped the lock, her movements honed by years in special forces, every sense razor sharp. Inside, the unit was a corrupt treasury crates of fake badges, burner phones, ledgers listing payoffs to precinct heavyweights. She scanned the names Rick, Malone, and gut-punchingly, Captain Heller, her mentor, his signature tied to six-figure sums. Marcus whispered, "This is a death blow." Amara, we've got them. Her phone camera flashed, capturing every page, but a low rumble, a car engine, froze her blood. Marcus peeked through the door, his face paling. 3 guys, armed, fake badges. Amara's training kicked in, her mind a battlefield. She stuffed a ledger into her bag, grabbing a kerosene can from a corner. If she couldn't take it all, she'd burn Rick's empire to ash. She splashed the crates, struck a match, and flames roared, devouring the evidence as they slipped out the back. The men stormed the front, their shouts lost in the fire's crackle. But bullets followed, one slicing Amara's thigh, blood soaking her jeans. She gritted her teeth, her pistol answering. One shot felling a pursuer, the others scattering as the blaze spread. Marcus pulled her to his car, tires screeching, the ledger a heavy prize in her lap. They reached a safe house, a crumbling apartment Ghost had secured its walls damp with mold. Amara spread the ledger on a rickety table, its pages a map of Rick's rot payments from the order, a shadowy cabal linking the precinct to City Hall. Heller's name, scrawled next to a bribe, made her fists clench, his betrayal a wound deeper than the bullet in her thigh. She called Lena, her voice a blade. Heller's dirty. You knew Lena's silence stretched, her denial thin. I swear, Amara, I didn't. They're tailing me. I'm trapped. Amara hung up, doubt festering like poison. Was Lena lying? She turned to Marcus, who was uploading the ledger's photos to an encrypted server, his fingers a blur. This goes live at sunrise, he said, his voice steady. The city won't sleep after this. Dawn broke, and Marcus's article hit the web like a bomb. The ledger's secrets igniting protests that choked City Hall. News anchors stammered through FBI launches probe into police corruption. The city's pulse a fever pitch. Amara watched from a corner bodega, her face obscured by a cap, the ledger her only shield. But Ghost's text shattered her brief triumph. Malone's crew hit the safe house. Get out. She grabbed her bag, slipping into an alley as a black SUV roared up. Malone's sneer visible through the windshield. Her thigh wound slowed her, each step a knife, but she dove into a subway tunnel, the ledger a burning weight. Marcus's article had cracked Rick's armor, but the hunt was on, and she was running out of shadows. She needed a bolder move, something to flip the board before Rick's machine ground her to dust. Amara Cole's breath rasped in the subway tunnel's damp air, her thigh wound pulsing with every step. The ledger clutched like a lifeline as she evaded Malone's crew. The city above was a furnace. Protests raging after Marcus Reed's article exposed the precinct's corruption. The FBI's probe a faint hope in a sea of chaos. Her face was a wanted poster, her name a curse on every cop's lips. And Rick Dalton's shadow loomed larger than ever. The safe house was burned, her allies scattered, and Lena's shaky denial echoed in her mind, sowing seeds of doubt. But surrender wasn't in her blood. Not after years in special forces. Not after seeing Rick's fake badge unit terrorize her city. The ledger had given her a name, Sergeant Victor Klein, the retired cop tied to the van, now a linchpin in Rick's network. If she could break him, she'd have a confession to bury Rick for good. Ghost had tracked Klein to a derelict factory on the city's outskirts, a hideout for the order's operations. Amara moved at dusk, her hoodie pulled low, her pistol a cold weight against her hip. The factory loomed like a carcass, its broken windows staring as she slipped through a side door, her boots silent on cracked concrete. Inside, Klein stood with 2 men, their fake badges glinting, crates of weapons stacked around them. Amara crouched behind a rusted machine, her phone recording. Klein's voice clear as he barked orders. Dalton wants Cole dead before the FBI digs deeper. Double the patrols. Her blood boiled, but she waited, her training demanding precision. When Klein stepped away, she struck, silent and lethal, her arm locking his throat, her gun at his temple. Talk, she hissed. Who's bankrolling the order? Klein's laugh was a rasp, his eyes defiant. You're already dead. Cole. She tightened her grip, her voice ice. Then you're coming with me. He squirmed, spitting names Rick, Heller, a city councilman, but claimed the order answered to someone higher, a shadow he wouldn't name. Her phone caught every word, but the other men returned, their shouts shattering the silence. Amara shoved Klein into a crate, diving for cover as bullets tore through the air. Her pistol answered, dropping one man, but a shot grazed her shoulder, blood soaking her jacket. She gritted her teeth, her vision blurring, and dragged Klein toward an exit, his struggles slowing her. Outside, Malone's SUV screeched into the lot, his crew spilling out, guns blazing. Amara fired back, her shots precise despite the pain, but a bullet slammed into her side, the world tilting as she collapsed, Klein slipping from her grasp. She crawled behind a dumpster, her blood pooling, her phone still recording as Klein shouted. Finish her, Malone loomed, his gun raised, but sirens wailed FBI, not local cops, their lights cutting the dark. Malone's crew scattered, dragging Klein away, leaving Amara crumpled, her life leaking onto the pavement. She pressed the phone into her pocket, her fingers slick, whispering, Ghost, get this out. Paramedics found her, their voices distant as she faded, the ledger and phone her only legacy. She woke in a hospital, tubes snaking from her arms. Marcus at her bedside, his face grim. Your footage hit the web, he said. Klein's confession is everywhere. The FBI's raiding the precinct. Amara's lips twitched, a ghost of a smile. But pain drowned her triumph. Ghost had sent the video, and the city was burning protests, arrests, calls for reform. But Marcus's next words chilled her. Rick's gone dark. He's planning something, Amara. He wants you dead. She forced herself up, ignoring the nurse's protests, her wounds screaming. The FBI was closing in, but Rick was a viper, and she was his target. Her phone, recovered, buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You can't hide. Cole. She deleted it, her eyes steel. Klein's confession had cracked the order, but Rick was still free, and her fight was far from over. She needed to move, to strike before he did, even if it meant bleeding out in the attempt. Amara Cole's hospital room was a cage, the beeping monitors and sterile walls mocking her as she ripped out her IV, pain searing her bandaged side and shoulder. The city outside was a volcano. Protests erupting after Victor Klein's leaked confession exposed Rick Dalton's fake badge unit. The FBI's probe now a blade at the precinct's throat. But Rick was a phantom, vanished since the factory raid. His absence a warning of something darker. Amara's phone, recovered from the scene, buzzed with another anonymous threat. You'll bleed slow. Cole. She deleted it, her eyes burning with defiance. Marcus Reed sat by her chimney, his laptop open, the screen showing his latest article, Klein's words, the ledger's names, the order's shadow racking up millions of views. You're a legend out there, he said, but his voice was grim. Rick's planning a counterstrike. Word is he's at a gala tonight, getting a medal for service. Amara's blood boiled. A gala. While the city burned. She forced herself up, ignoring Marcus's protests, her wounds screaming but her will iron. Lena Trana slipped into the room, her face pale, her eyes haunted. I'm sorry I went dark. Amara, she whispered, handing over a burner phone. They had me followed. But I've got something blueprints of the gala venue. Security codes. Amara studied her, doubt lingering. But Lena's resolve mirrored her own. You're either with me or against me. Lena, she said. Lena nodded, unflinching. With you. The plan formed fast. Reckless but necessary, infiltrate the gala. Plant Klein's confession for the FBI. And expose Rick in front of the city's elite. Marcus would stream it live, turning Rick's moment of glory into his downfall. Amara dressed in stolen catering staff gear, her wounds hidden under a loose jacket, her pistol taped to her ankle. The gala was at a downtown hotel, its chandeliers glittering as cops, politicians, and the order's puppets mingled, oblivious to the storm coming. Amara moved through the crowd, her face obscured, serving drinks while Lena, in a maintenance uniform, hacked the venue's AV system. Marcus, posing as a reporter, set up his camera, his feed linked to ghost servers. Amara's heart pounded, her eyes locked on Rick across the room, his dress blues pristine, his smile a mask as he accepted the plaque from the mayor. The hypocrisy churned her stomach, but she waited, her training demanding patience. Lena signaled from the control room AV was ready. Amara slipped into a side hall, planting a USB with Klein's confession in a projector, her fingers steady despite the pain. But a hand grabbed her arm, Malone. Rick's enforcer, his gun pressed to her ribs. "You don't quit, do you?" he snarled. Amara twisted, her elbow smashing his jaw, her boot slamming his knee. He crumpled, but not before he'd penetration, alerting Rick's men. The gala erupted into chaos as Amara sprinted to the stage, Lena hitting play on the AV. Klein's voice boomed, naming Rick. Heller, the order, the crowd gasping as the mayor froze. Rick's face draining of color. Amara tore off her disguise. Her voice thunder. "This is your hero, a liar running a death squad." Rick lunged, his fist grazing her jaw. But she countered, her special forces reflexes a blur, pinning him to the floor as cameras rolled. Marcus's feed went viral. Millions watching as FBI agents stormed in, their badges real, their guns drawn. Rick's allies, Malone, Heller tried to flee, but the feds were faster, cuffs snapping on wrists. Lena emerged, her face fierce, shoving evidence files into an agent's hands. Amara stood over Rick, blood dripping from her reopened wounds. Her voice low. "You're done," he sneered, "HD. Even in cuffs. You think this ends with me? The order's bigger than you know." The FBI dragged him away, but his words lingered, a shadow on her victory. Marcus grabbed her arm, pulling her from the stage as paramedics rushed in, her vision blurring from blood loss. Outside, the city roared, protests merging with cheers as the gala's collapse trended worldwide. Amara collapsed into an ambulance, Marcus and Lena at her side, her phone buzzing with ghost text. "You broke their spine. Cole. But watch your back." She closed her eyes, the pain a dull roar, knowing Rick's arrest was only a battle won, not the war. The order was still out there, and her fight was far from over. But tonight she'd lit a fire the city couldn't ignore. Amara Cole's wounds ached under the fluorescent glare of the courthouse, her bandaged side a constant reminder of the factory firefight in the gala showdown. But she stood tall, her eyes fixed on the defendant's table where Rick Dalton sat, his dress blues replaced by a cheap suit, his sneer dulled but not gone. The city outside was a storm, protests clogging the streets, their chants for justice echoing through the courtroom's windows as the trial of the decade began. Marcus Areed's articles, Lena Tran's evidence, and Amara's blood-soaked fight had dragged the order's rot into the light, forcing the FBI to act. Rick faced charges of racketeering, assault, and conspiracy, his fake badge unit crumbling as Klein's confession and the ledger's names, Heller, Malone, city officials sparked a dozen arrests. But Amara knew Rick's warning at the gala lingered. The order was bigger than him, a hydra with head still hidden. She sat in the witness stand, her voice steady as she recounted the park beating, the warehouse ambush, Klein's words, every detail etched in her scars. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Elena Vasquez, leaned in, her questions precise, drawing out Rick's empire fake badges, buried cases, payoffs funneled through the order. Rick's lawyer, a slick corporate type, tried to paint Amara as a rogue, a disgraced cop with a vendetta. But the viral video of her stopping Rick's baton played on a loop in the jury's minds, her fist a symbol of defiance. Lena took the stand next, her hands trembling, but her voice clear, detailing the scrubbed reports she'd uncovered. Her testimony sealing Malone's fate as he glared from the gallery, cuffed and furious. Marcus, ever the showman, submitted his footage, Klein's confession. The gala chaos, each frame a nail in Rick's coffin. The courtroom buzzed, the jury's faces grim, but Amara's eyes caught a flicker in the crowd, a man in a suit, his stare too deliberate, his hand brushing a concealed bulge. Her special forces instincts screamed danger. She signaled Marcus, who nodded, slipping out to alert security. The man vanished before guards could act, but the moment chilled her. The order wasn't done. As the trial stretched into weeks, the city fractured further. Protests turned violent, storefronts burned, and the mayor resigned under pressure, his ties to the order exposed. Amara, still a pariah to the precinct, found herself hounded by reporters, her face a lightning rod for hope and hate. She hid in a safe house, Ghost's last gift, her nights spent poring over the ledger's cryptic notes, searching for the order's puppet master. A name surfaced, Councilman Edward Voss, a silent player whose donations matched the order's payoffs. She tipped Vasquez anonymously, and Voss was subpoenaed, his testimony cracking open a network reaching beyond the city. Rick's conviction came swiftly. The jury's verdict, a hammer guilty on all counts, life without parole. Malone and Heller followed, their sentences shorter but damning. The courtroom erupted, cheers mixing with threats, but Amara felt hollow. Justice was a start, but the system that bred Rick was still breathing. Outside, the protests morphed into demands for reform, defunding, oversight, accountability choking City Hall until lawmakers buckled, passing a bill to audit police funding. Amara watched from the sidelines, her badge long gone, her name a whisper among activists. A young protester, the boy from the park, now healed, found her at a rally, his eyes fierce. You saved me, detective. Now I'm fighting for you. His words hit harder than any bullet, stirring something she'd buried purpose. She began mentoring him and others, a loose collective of kids who'd seen the system's ugliness up close. They called themselves the Sparks, their meetings in abandoned lots, their mission to hold power accountable. Lena, cleared of suspicion, joined them, her rookie idealism sharpened by betrayal. Marcus chronicled their work, his articles a megaphone for their cause. But a late-night call from Ghost shook Amara's fragile hope. Voss is out on bail. Word is he's coming for you. She gripped her pistol, her wounds a dull ache, knowing the order's shadow still loomed. The Sparks rallied around her, their youth a fire she hadn't expected. But the fight was hers to finish. She looked at the city's skyline, its lights a battlefield, and vowed to keep burning until the system fell for good. Amara Cole's boots echoed in the cavernous warehouse, its cracked concrete floors now a training ground, its walls plastered with hand-painted banners screaming, "Justice starts here." The city outside was a wounded beast, its streets scarred from protest but pulsing with a fragile hope after Rick Dalton's life sentence. The precinct gutted by FBI raids, and the order's lieutenants Malone, Heller locked away. Yet Amara's scars, physical and otherwise, burned under her jacket, her side and shoulder still tender from the factory firefight and gala brawl. Councilman Edward Voss, the shadow behind the order, had slipped through the cracks, out on bail, his disappearance a blade hanging over her. She stood before the Sparks, her band of young activists, their faces black, Latino, Asian, white united by a fire she'd kindled. The boy from the park, Jaden, now 19, led drills she'd designed in, his voice steady as he taught de-escalation, his broken ribs a distant memory. Lena Tran, no longer a cop but a warrior in her own right, coached a group on digital security, her betrayal fears buried under loyalty to Amara. Marcus Reed, camera in hand, filmed it all, his articles turning Justice Corps into a movement, their training sessions trending as the future of justice. But Amara's sleep was haunted. Ghost's last text, a splinter in her mind. Voss is regrouping. Kill orders on you. Her pistol stayed close. Her special forces instincts razor sharp. Every creak in the warehouse a potential threat. The city's reforms independent oversight. Slashed budgets. Mandatory retraining were a start. But Amara knew systems didn't die easy. Rick's trial had exposed the order's tentacles. But Voss was its brain, and he wasn't done. Ghost's intel pointed to a penthouse downtown, where Voss was funneling funds to rebuild the order's network. Amara planned her move, her wounds a dull roar, her resolve of fire. Lena insisted on joining, her eyes fierce. "You don't do this alone," she said, handing over hacked security codes. Marcus, ever the risk-taker, demanded to record it. "The world needs to see this end," he said. Amara relented. Their trio, a fragile but fierce unit. At midnight, they breached the high-rise. Lena disabling cameras. Amara slipping through shadows. Marcus trailing with his lens. The penthouse was a fortress of glass and steel. Voss's voice drifting from a balcony. His phone call detailing a new wave of fake badge ops. Amara signaled Lena, who jammed his signal, and Marcus set up his live stream. Amara stepped onto the balcony, her pistol drawn, the city's skyline a jagged witness. "Game's over." "Voss," she said, her voice steel. He spun, his polished facade cracking, a gun flashing in his hand. "You're a gnat. Cole, the order's eternal." She disarmed him with a swift strike, her training a blur, pinning him against the railing. Her phone recording as she demanded names, accounts, plans. Voss spat out fragments, senators, CEOs, a shadow council, his arrogance crumbling under her grip. But a glint in his eyes warned her too late. He drew a concealed blade, slashing her arm, blood spraying as she staggered. Lena charged in, her shot clipping Voss's shoulder, his body teetering, then plummeting over the edge. A scream lost in the city's hum. Amara clutched her arm, blood soaking her sleeve. But the recording was secure, sent to Ghost with a single word, "Now." Marcus's live stream exploded. Voss's confession trending as millions watched the order's architect fall. Amara sank to her knees, Lena catching her, the city's lights blurring. The FBI raided Voss's network within hours. Arrests rippling across states. The order's spine shattered. Amara returned to justice course, her arm bandaged, her spirit unbroken. She launched the program publicly, a rally in the park where it all began. Thousands gathering Jaden, the sparks, families, strangers, her voice raw as she spoke of justice, not vengeance. The city's reforms solidified, a civilian board established, training overhauled, funds redirected to communities. Justice Corps grew, chapters sprouting nationwide. Its trainees young, diverse, fearless, swearing an oath to protect, not oppress. Marcus's final piece, the woman who broke the order, made Amara a reluctant icon, but she shunned fame, mentoring in the shadows. Lena led field training, her courage a mirror of Amara's. Jaden, now a coordinator, organized rallies, his voice a megaphone. Late at night, Amara stood on the warehouse roof, the city's skyline a tapestry of battles won, her scars a ledger of costs, trust, blood, years. The order's embers still glowed, but the sparks were her fire, their light a promise. She'd fought a system and won, not for glory, but for them. And as the city hummed below, she knew Justice Corps would carry her flame, no matter what shadows rose next. Amara's fight toppled a corrupt system, sparking Justice Corps to rise. Thank you for joining her battle. Like, share, and subscribe to catch our latest stories. Hit the bell to never miss a tale of truth and triumph.